it's Henna. Thanks for joining me. And today is a late November rotation video. These are the perfumes that I reached for in the month of November, what I wore from my own collection, and also what I sampled a little bit. So thanks for joining me. Sorry it's a little bit late. One of the things that happened in November is that we got a whole bunch of snow, maybe like 25 centimeters or something like that over one weekend. So that means the weather had cooled down considerably, and that had me reaching for some of my more amber perfumes that I normally reach for in the wintertime. So let's start with the perfumes from my collection that I brought out, the full bottles that I was reaching for. As I was getting ready to film this video and I was pulling out the scents that I've worn and looking through some of my notes that I've made for myself, I realized that I've worn a lot of vanilla perfumes in the past month. Not surprising, because a lot of amber perfumes have vanilla in them, and vanillas are usually ambery, but I don't normally gravitate towards that note profile, so it is a little different for me to wear some things that are very, very heavy with the vanilla. The first perfume that I want to talk about, I think I've mentioned before a few times, is Miaris by L'Herbolario. L'Herbolario is like the Italian version of the Body Shop, and I did go there when I was in Milan earlier this year. It really is, bath and body products that are, let's say, inspired by natural ingredients. So you'll have a line of products that just smell like orange, or a line of products that smell like coconut, or a line of products that smell like rose maybe. They're kind of all in that theme. It really did remind me of the Body Shop, because you could buy, a body wash, a body lotion, and then a body mist all in the same scent family. So that is kind of nice for people that like to layer their perfumes. And I know people do that at the Body Shop as well. A little bit smaller than the Body Shop, so not as much of a range of product, but still interesting and kind of fun to go to, and very, very affordable. So if you happen to go to Italy, I would definitely check them out. And then when I was in Milan, I bought some presents from there too. I bought a few body washes and hand creams and brought them back with me to gift to people. So it is a good place to check out, because you're finding something that's different than what you can get here, but you're also not breaking the bank. So if the person that you gift to doesn't like what they've gotten, you haven't spent a ton of money on it. Miaris is one of their iconic perfumes. So this is very well known in the fragrance community. It's often compared to Musc Ravageur, and people say that it is a dupe of Musc Ravageur, but I think technically Miaris came before that. It is a really simple perfume. It's a lemon sugar on top, and then a little bit of cinnamon, and then just a lot of vanilla. Because it's not very expensive, I think this bottle is around $50 when you buy it in store in Italy. Because it's not very expensive, it does kind of have a thin, tinny quality to it. That's how I would describe it. It doesn't feel rich and complex and layered and super heavy, but I think that's also why I enjoy wearing it. I like the sparkle of the lemon in the top notes, and I really enjoy that it kind of dies down to a softer vanilla, but it's still very, very sweet. I like that it starts off really sweet but ends off not as sweet. So I like that transition. I don't want something that's going to be beast mode that is going to be super heavy on me. That's just not my aesthetic. So Miaris is one that works really nicely on me. I mentioned that this gets compared to Musc Ravageur a lot, but it's missing the muskiness that Musc Ravageur originally had. And when I smell Musc Ravageur, I do get that there are so many more ingredients and notes that are in that formula. There's an incense, there's like tolu balsam, the opening is more interesting, and there is a bit of a purr in the dry down for Musc Ravageur. So they're different, but I can see how they get compared. I don't think that they smell like dupes of one another at all. I think they're just unique scents and they can live in their own right. But this is kind of an easy perfume for me to wear. I can throw it on whenever, and I always feel like it's going to make me feel happy and settled and friendly and approachable. And I wear many sprays of it. And yeah, so that's Miaris by L'Herbolario. I know that not everyone's going to go to Italy to get this, but you can also find it on Amazon and on eBay too. I think eBay, there's an official store that ships out of eBay. So you can look for it. I will link it in the notes if you're interested in trying it. Again, it's a cheapie. It doesn't smell like an expensive perfume. It does smell like an affordable perfume, but not in a bad way. So if you're looking for a affordable vanilla, either for yourself or to gift, then this would be one that I would recommend. I really enjoy it. It's just a nice, easy vanilla perfume. The next perfume that I wore a lot of is Musc Ravageur by Frederic Malle. Every time I wear this, I can see why people love it so much. I mean, I also love it, but I can see why it's a bestseller from the Frederic Malle line, and it is in their top 3 of most perfumes sold. The other 2 that are really popular are Portrait of a Lady and Carnal Flower, which is kind of surprising because I sometimes find it difficult to wear Portrait of a Lady, and I feel like Carnal Flower is very feminine, so I'm surprised that that is one of the best sellers. But Musc Ravageur is unisex for sure. I don't think that it's very feminine or very masculine, but it really seems to be a hit with men. I see that a lot of men post about it and talk about it and want to wear it, and it smells amazing. Does it smell like Miaris? Maybe a little bit, but like I said before, I don't think that one is a dupe of another. Musc Ravageur has so much more going on, just so many more notes. It definitely has a better quality ingredients, and you can kind of smell that when you wear the perfume. It's missing that thin, tinny, metallic quality that I can get from Miaris. My nose is able to tune out that when I wear Miaris, like throughout the day when I get whiffs of it, I don't perceive that thinness, but I know that it's there because when I first spray it, I can smell it right away. Musc Ravageur, you won't get any of that. You do get a more complex amber perfume. This is lavender. It's lots of citruses in the opening, so like a fizzy kind of bergamot. It's got benzoin, vanilla, incense, labdanum. That kind of gives it like a jamminess. It is just a more interesting, better quality perfume. Yes, it's way more expensive than Miaris, but in this case, I actually think it's worth it. It just makes me feel put together and professional without compromising on the warm and cozy amber that I'm looking for in the colder months of the year. So again, this is really easy for me to wear because it's giving me an amber that I really enjoy, but it's way stronger and way more complex. So it's not one that I wear mindlessly and spray a lot of. I really only wear a couple of sprays when I'm going to be wearing this for my perfume of the day, and I really enjoy it so much. I do have an earlier sample of Musc Ravageur. It's in a little red sample bottle, and they don't make Frederic Malle samples in that type of bottle anymore, I'm pretty sure. And that version on my skin, there is an animalic quality that comes out in the dry down of the perfume. I know that Maurice Roussel, the perfumer, has said that he didn't actually use any animalic musks when he was making Musc Ravageur. That's just a side effect of the mix of ingredients and the way that they come out on skin. But that version of the perfume does smell different than this version of the perfume. So of course the perfume has been reformulated throughout the years and it has changed a little bit. I don't get an animalic musk in the dry down, but I do get kind of a furry purr that sits on my skin whenever I wear Musc Ravageur. The other thing that I read was that Maurice Roussel was trying to make his own, or he was inspired by Shalimar when he made Musc Ravageur. And I find that to be so interesting because I know that a lot of men who are kind of on the outskirts of Fragcom and of perfume, maybe they're just getting into it, they would write Shalimar off as a very feminine scent and they're not interested in wearing anything feminine. I've seen men even refer to it as a grandma perfume or an old lady perfume, maybe because it is very, very powdery. And there is a definite powder note in Musc Ravageur, but they're okay with wearing Musc Ravageur because they don't know that it's inspired by Shalimar, but they would never wear Shalimar. And when you wear both of them side by side, they don't smell the same, but you can definitely sense the similarities because the blend of incense and benzoin and vanilla that's in Musc Ravageur is similar to the dry down of Shalimar, especially if you try on an older version of Shalimar, which is extremely leathery and a little bit more musky. You can see that they do have a similarity, but men would never wear that. There are men that would never wear that, but they would happily wear Musc Ravageur. So I find that to be really interesting. Of course, I own a bunch of Shalimars and I own Musc Ravageur, so I'm okay with wearing any and all iterations of that type of perfume. Moving on to some new things, and I mentioned that I was really in my vanilla era. I also sampled this perfume. This is Goldfield and Banks Australia Desert Rosewood. This is a really pretty, easy, wearable amber perfume. If you're familiar with ambers like Ambre Sultan by Serge Lutens or Amber 114 by État Libre d'Orange, or no, Histoire de Parfum, then this is a version of those scents, but without any, or without too many of the herbal top notes that those have. So Ambre Sultan has oregano in it, and that sometimes reminds me of pasta sauce because there is like a lot of dry powdered oregano. And Amber 114 has a lot of thyme in it, which reminds me of roasted chicken. They're both still beautiful perfumes, but Desert Rosewood doesn't have as much herbalness, at least in this little dabber sample that I have. And it just is an easy benzoin, vanilla, ambery perfume. I enjoyed wearing it. I kind of held on to the rest of the sample so that I could keep it for reference. I didn't end up getting a bottle because I feel like I have enough warm ambery perfumes in my collection, but I liked it, so I held on to it, and I did, drain half the sample in about 2 days. So this is a nice one if you're looking for a more simplistic amber. I think sometimes we don't pay attention to things that are a little bit simpler and easier to wear, and we hype up the things that are complex and layered, but you don't always want that type of challenge for your nose. Sometimes you feel like going for a walk, sometimes you feel like running a marathon. That's kind of how I think of it. This is definitely like taking an easy walk through the ambery park, whereas something like Musc Ravageur is like doing an obstacle course or maybe a triathlon through a park of amber notes and interesting smells. So there's a time and place for both of them. This was a nice, easy weekend kind of smell, so I really enjoyed that. The next perfume sample that I wore a lot of, I actually don't have anymore because I gave it to someone that was also really enjoying it, and that is the new Tom Ford Eau d'Ombre Leather. I actually had no interest in sampling this perfume because I'm typically not a a ombre leather fan. I just don't really love leather perfumes, so that's not something that I would seek out to try. But I was on social media and I saw an ad to get a free sample, so I signed up for it, and the sample actually did arrive in my mail a few weeks later. So that is why I tried it. Eau d'Ambre Leather is actually a vanilla perfume. It's not really a leathery scent, at least to my nose. And I've seen that different people have different impressions of it. But one of the perfumes that it really reminded me of is Rosendo Mateo No. 5. And I'm not the only one that had that thought. There's lots of people that have compared the two. When I sampled Rosendo Mateo No. 5, I kind of didn't understand it, and I thought that it was really weird. I just thought that it was a strange blend of notes. I couldn't quite place what they were and where they were coming from, but there was a lot of vanilla in there, and I did enjoy wearing it for the time that I had my sample. Tom Ford's Eau d'Ambre Leather is more smooth. It's got more rounded edges and is not as sharp as the Rosendo Mateo, but it does smell remarkably similar to that scent. Now, of course, Rosendo Mateo has now passed away, and he was the perfumer behind his perfume, and he's not the perfumer behind Eau d'Ambre Leather by Tom Ford, but the similarity is there and apparent. So if you have one, then you probably don't need the other. But of course, Tom Ford is likable, collectible, more well-known than a niche brand from South America. So maybe, the Tom Ford is going to be more popular and the one that people want and the one that people get. I know for me, it made me want to revisit the Rosendo Mateo and consider adding that to my collection because I really did enjoy wearing the Tom Ford perfume so much. I get a blend of spices and vanilla that's different than anything else that I own. It's not spicy in the way that Miaris is spicy with cinnamon. It doesn't have the warm spices of Musc Ravageur, which is cloves and cinnamon together, and this really intricate layered base, but there's something about it that still makes it really interesting to wear. One more perfume that I have really been loving in the past few weeks is one that I was not looking to add to my collection, and I still haven't. I just have a generous travel spray of it, and I've been wearing it, and I think it's not bad. And that is Kilian's Love Don't Be Shy. I think that's what it's called. It just says Love by Kilian. No, it says Love Don't Be Shy. So Kilian, Love Don't Be Shy. I am not a Kilian girly. Like, I don't really love any Kilian perfume right now. I have none in my collection. I don't seek out samples. The last Kilian that I really liked was Smoking Hot, and I enjoyed that, but then I got sick on a day that I was wearing it, and then I just could not revisit it, so I never ended up wearing more of it beyond the sample that I had. But Love Don't Be Shy is a very sweet perfume, but with lots of florals in it. So it's got this caramel, marshmallow, whipped cream topping. It opens with that. I can smell it right now. But underneath, it's got this tuberose, rose, candy kind of mid, and that is kind of where that perfume goes. So unlike a lot of sweet perfumes that just get sweeter and sweeter the more that they sit on your skin and the more that they warm up, this one does not get sweeter. It opens up very sweet and then ends up being more of a floral perfume. And I definitely prefer that. I don't like perfumes that get sweeter and richer as they sit. I would rather that the candy and the marshmallow and whatever else is there gives way to something that's more classic and more interesting. I picked this one only because it was one that I had heard of and I wanted to try on my skin. and I'd heard of this because this is Rihanna's signature scent, so I thought I would try it, and I do actually really like it. I can't see myself adding a full bottle of this to my collection, but I do see myself continuing to wear this and maybe layering it with some other things. I did have a day where I layered this with a rose perfume, like a rose water kind of perfume, a rose water scent, and that worked really nicely. And I'll try layering it with maybe a tuberose or other floral perfume that's more typical of what I would normally wear, and see how that works out too. But that is something that I added that was unexpected, that I'm still thinking of myself that I'm sampling it because I've never worn this perfume before, and I don't think that I'm very familiar with it. When Kilian launched their perfume line, I was sent a bunch of Kilian samples, and I did review them on the blog, and I tried them all, but that was so long ago. I want to say that was like 20 years ago or close to 20 years ago. So I haven't revisited any of the scents, the original scents since then. And I think that this one was one of the original scents. It's always interesting to come back to things once you are older, because your perception of the world obviously has changed, but more interesting with perfume because your nose does develop and you pick up different things and you enjoy different things. Your taste change as well. I know for sure if I tried this 20 years ago, I would think that this was way too sweet for me to wear. But now I don't feel that way. I feel like I can tolerate the sweetness, and I even enjoy the amount of sweetness that it's giving me. So that is another perfume that I sampled in the month of November, and I'm probably going to continue wearing it through December. This is one that kind of just lives in my perfume tray because it doesn't take up very much room. I want to keep wearing it for different occasions and kind of see where it takes me. There is a kind of syntheticness that comes out with some of these Kilian perfumes, and kind of from some brands that are very expensive but don't have the kind of pedigree that's behind the Frederic Malle scents. And so this kind of smells like cough syrup or like a marker, like a cherry marker at times. But beyond that, once it settles, that scent, that note profile kind of goes away, and you do get kind of a sweet floral perfume. Finally, because we are really entering a few busy weeks, it's going to be Christmas holidays in a little bit, and I don't know how much time I'm really going to have to film. I'll talk about a couple of scents that I recently got and that I'm going to try to wear over the month of December. One of them is this one right here. This is Santa Maria Novella Lana. Lana means wool in Italian, and this was made in collaboration with a wool company. There's not a lot of reviews on this. There's not a lot of notes. To my nose, it is a peppery rose perfume. I don't get the sensation of wool when I'm wearing this, but I do get a beautiful rose. I get vetiver. I get lots of like a pepper. So that's one. I mean, I love rose as a note, and I love Santa Maria Novella. So that's one that I am going to continue to wear over the next few months. Not typically something that I would wear in colder months, but one that I'm just enjoying so much right now, and I just added it. So I am kind of putting it in the rotation, and I'm going to continue to wear it. I know people say that they get a sense of cashmere or wool or warmth when they're wearing this. To me, I just don't get that impression, because when I think of something that's warming and cozy, my mind automatically goes to ambers, not a rose vetiver. It really is a sweet rose, like a rose water kind of scent. And of course, these older bottles from Santa Maria Novella are eau de colognes. They're not eau de parfums or eau de toilette. So this is exceedingly light and kind of one that you can wear lots of. Now, these old bottles also come as splash bottles, and they come with a sprayer that you could put in yourself. The first day that I was wearing this, I was in a rush, so I didn't have time to take out this splash part and put in the spray, and I just kind of splashed it on everywhere, and I really enjoyed that. So I think I'm going to keep it the way that it is and not put the sprayer in, and see how much I enjoy wearing it without the sprayer. One more perfume that I'm going to talk about is this beauty right here. This is Ambre Gris by Balmain. Discontinued. I obviously bought a partial bottle because I thought it was so pretty, and this smells like a real true blue ambergris. It's got like a saltiness to it that I always associate with ambergris. It's not the kind of ambergris that ambroxan is. I know they say that ambroxan is like an ambergris synthetic, but I think it just shares some quality with ambergris. It's not necessarily smelling exactly the same. I don't know what's in this, if this has any real ambergris or what ambergris adjacent molecule it has in it, but to my nose it just does smell kind of like salty and like sea-like, but also a little bit sweet like skin. So yeah, this is one that I'm going to be trying to include in my lineup and reaching for a little bit more so that I can experience it. I think it's crazy that they made a perfume that was like Ambre Gris. Like they wanted to make something that smelled like Ambre Gris. It smells very Italian to me because I feel like an Italian amber accord is always with Ambre Gris. It's not necessarily something that has vanilla and benzoin and all the richness of like a North American amber accord. But, you know, I will be wearing this, researching it, looking into it a little bit more, seeing what I get. But it's interesting. It's interesting. It's nice. It's something different, unique, and yeah, just kind of an impulse purchase, one that I will come back to. That's it for me. Let me know if you've tried any of these or you want to try any of these and what you are wearing for the cooler weather, if that is what you're experiencing. I will see you in the new year, maybe not sooner, but definitely in the new year. And I hope everybody has a restful, safe holiday season. And I'll catch up with you later. Bye.